Humanity Matters.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. I'm your host, Gal Swisa Cohen. 3 years ago, my family and I moved to Long Island with a clear mission to serve as the living bridge between the people of Israel and the incredible community here. Out of this journey, I created The Israeli Bond, a podcast designed to tell the story of Israel and its people beyond the headlines. We are here for the authentic, the personal, and the direct stories that brings us close together. And this podcast is a production of the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, New York. And it is thanks to their vision and support that this content is brought to you today. And let's begin with my special guest of today, Neta Dagan. Hi.
Hello.
How are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Neta. I was born in Israel, raised there. I came to the US 3 years ago now, I think, almost 4. As a lawyer from Israel, came here for law school and now living in New York City. And happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. So you came from Israel, you did law school there, then you came here for your master's degree, right?
Yeah, so I went to law school in Israel, in the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and then did my legal internship there. But I had a clear vision of seeing the world also as a lawyer, as an academic. So I went to the University of Pennsylvania, Carey Law School, where I pursued a master in law, which is designed for international lawyers and professionals. And this is where I did my degree here, also where I was during October the 7th. And I guess eventually the reason I'm here.
Yeah, so you got that right. So the reason you're here is not only because you did your master's degree in law here, but because of a very special program that you were one of its founders. Can you explain more about the program?
Yeah, so you talked about building bridges as one of the reasons, or the primary reason you and your family came here. When I was a student at Penn, approaching the end of the year, this is a 1-year program, I got introduced to some faculty members outside of the law school, some Jewish, some Israelis, and they told me about this program that they are building and creating called the Academic Bridge Fellowship, which later turned into ABF, much easier to say. Essentially, this program was the idea of a group of faculty from Penn that was part of a group of professors that went to Israel. They were the first official academic mission to Israel after October the 7th.
But let's start from the beginning. Was there a group of Israeli and Jewish professors before October 7th?
I'm not a professor, so I don't know. From what I've heard, I think there was never an official group of Jewish faculty at Penn. I think that group came to life after October the 7th, as they were feeling the need to share, talk, create a group of equals. And also that led to them deciding to go on a mission to Israel, which they did.
What was the goal of this mission?
I think the goal was to go, see, feel, meet. I think they just felt the need to go to Israel. I think sometimes being here, but being very much worried about something somewhere else leads you to take action. I think that was the case. I was not part of that mission, so the extent to which I know about it is that. But I know that as part of their visit to Israel, they went to the south, they met with survivors, they met with the president. They also met with the leaders of the universities in Israel, and they were told by them that they feel like there is a silent boycott of the Israeli academia, which means they see less funding, They see less international students. Papers are being rejected, even though they assume those same papers would have been accepted before October the 7th. And they voice frustration about it. And I think that conversation left, at least the people I was working with a notion, a thought, a mission of like, how can we help? And they came back to the University of Pennsylvania, and that thought came back with them. And the Bridge Fellowship essentially was born out of that thought. I think from conversation I had with them, each thought, I can do my conferences in Israel. That's one way. I can collaborate with Israeli peers. That's another way. But those were ways in which they already were acting upon. And I think they thought, how can we add on that? And the program that was created out of it, and I was lucky to lead, is basically bringing young Israelis, either after their service or students, to the University of Pennsylvania, placing them in different labs, and where they will be mentored by professors who will participate in the programs. Essentially, you can see almost a perfect correlation between the people who went out on the mission to Israel and the people who mentored. But we had more. And then having them there for the summer to do research, to meet the community, and to be there as a group. I think that was the idea at the time. From that, we try to come up with like, what are the actual goals we are trying to achieve from, bringing those people to Penn, because I think the thought of what can we do preceded the thought of like, what will we get out of it? And essentially we came up with, we'll call it simple mission, but I think nothing is simple those days. One, we wanted to bring those people and to build a bridge with the people. You don't meet an Israeli, you meet someone who has a similar interest to you, who will work with you in your lab.
A colleague.
You'll have lunch with, you will talk about science with, you'll talk about the law with, whatever it is. It makes a different introduction, I think, and that was very important to facilitate connections between people first.
Yeah.
We also have the communities in the university and around it. So Jewish students, Jewish professors, Jewish community. We wanted to have the students meet them. We thought that it will be important because a bridge has two sides. It's not just about, we bring the Israelis, they will speak, they will show themselves, they will say what they think, but also they will meet the community. They will hear about the hardship of being Jewish in the US post-October 7th. They will hear about, what their fellow students feel like. They will hear about the Jewish communities.
But only Jewish? Or you also got them to meet more parts of the university, maybe less tolerant to Israel?
The challenge of a summer program is that you're in the summer, a lot of the people are not there. In each lab, they met whoever was there. I was mentoring a group doing research in the Center for Ethics and the Rule of Law. We specifically were looking into antisemitism in campuses and how universities can address it. And a group next to us had someone who clearly had different thoughts of everything. The conversation was less official. It was not we bring someone to tell you their story and whatever. It was a conversation of like hard questions came up and people were having conversation. And I think you find out you have a lot of mutual, and that helps you bridge some gaps. Obviously, some opinions you cannot change, but they met many more communities than the Jewish community and the Jewish students. Obviously, given the nature of the program, that was the focus when we started. We were supported by Chabad, we were supported by Hillel, so those gave us some first meet, I would say. It's easier to do first Shabbat dinner and invite your students to Hillel than do something where you invite
By yourself.
everyone.
Yeah.
Also by yourself, but yeah.
So I want to. I want to do it like I want to be a little hard on you and ask you what's the difference between this program and just an exchange student program. I did exchange student program. It wasn't like I don't know, taking the flag of Israel or taking the flag of after October 7th. Like it was before. There are a lot of exchange programs. So what's the difference here?
I think, it's a great question. We ask ourselves the same. To answer that, I'll start with the last goal of the program, which was the personal goal, having an experience that people will benefit from personally, will develop from. I think essentially the core of exchange student program is that you do it because you have a desire to go somewhere. You choose where you want to go to based on where you're accepted for, but like also what you want to do, where you want to go. From that, I think derives few differences. One, this is a summer program, not during the semester. Two, this program is designed not to be a student in the university, but to be a researcher in a lab in the university. It's different because each lab has a different schedule. Each lab has a different structure. Essentially, students will just go in, blend in, and work in the lab, for the research. I think, to my knowledge, that exchange programs are less about that. You're part of a class, you're going to classes, you're taking exams, you're writing papers. The outcome is a bit different because you live student life and you're there, but it's not that you're blended into a working lab that does research. And then we try to build another layer, which was, facilitate and make more structured activities that engage with the community. So we went to local synagogues. Fellows were hosted by families in their homes. And I think any exchange program doesn't have that structure.
Yeah.
I wish it had. I think even if we could have had something that does that for Jewish students in addition to whatever they have, we will achieve similar goals. But at the time, we were focused on this is our mission right now. We want to make something that will contribute even a little bit. And this is why we decided to run with the program.
So I wonder, what's in it for the Israeli students, though? Because they're coming here to help with the lab. I guess that it a little bit gives them a different vision, maybe gives them the opportunity to work on different topics that they don't necessarily do back in Israel, but then they go back to Israel to their own lab, and basically that's it. Because it's not that they are accepted to be a fellow researcher in this lab. It's only for this 1 month in the summer.
We've discovered that the answer to your question is very complex. I will say we came up with the program. We had mentors at the university who wanted to do that, and we accepted fellows. And then at the time that we were starting to get applications, we understood that universities in Israel, because of October the 7th, extended the school year. So we had a lot of people who were before even they started university. So there is a difference between the first cohort and the cohorts that followed.
You had 3 cohorts so far.
We had 3 cohorts so far. I will touch on that later. But to answer your question, I think there are a few answers. One, even some people came after serving more than a year after October the 7th. No, it was less, but serving right after October the 7th and until we had the first cohort. And I remember someone telling me, this is the first time I was breathing regularly in ages. It felt like
From
the
October
first
7th.
time that I was able to sleep for the night and actually not be worried about being cold or getting a call about a friend. So I think, the basic of, giving them an experience outside of Israel, outside of the tension there, was one thing that I saw as good. I know this was not the goal of the program, but if I go to the personal part of our goals, I think that was very important. More specifically to our goals of communities, the idea was that one, sometimes by going to a lab and seeing something, you can understand if this is something you want to pursue or not. I know about people who thought they want to study something, and after a month of hearing lectures at noon and participating in research, either they changed what they want to learn or decided, well, I don't want to learn right now. I want to still explore the world and come to a decision later. And then we have the people, usually those were the students already, who got to a lab, had a very good connections with the professors, and we're taking back with them some form of collaboration to continue. They kept participating in Zoom meetings after they went back to Israel. They brought some ideas to their own labs. And some of them I know are intending on applying for a PhD at Penn when they finish, or any other university in the US, because they think there is also, what is Ivy League? And suddenly you're there and you feel like, well, I can do that. That might be something that I want.
It opened their appetite, right?
I think so.
Oh, that's amazing. And who's sponsoring this program? Is Penn one of the sponsors of this program?
So the funding for the program was donated by people who, most of them, I think, also donating money to Penn.
Wait, you know what? Let's talk about the actual program, like before. So the program is that you're taking 20 students from Israel. So what is exactly the program?
Okay, so we took actually 40.
40, okay.
Cohort. Yeah. They were all staying as a group at Penn housing.
Okay.
They were living in campus. The idea was that each morning, each fellow goes to their respective labs, work there until lunch. Then we all met for a lunch lecture about a topic of research of one of the mentors or other researchers or professors that will come and just share that. Then they go back to the labs, continuing working until 5, because this is a 9 to 5 work in the lab, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then they had time to be together, to meet with the community. The interesting part was we had a lecture with a professor of psychology that followed with many questions. And that professor was like, I see that you have a lot of questions. Why don't we do a sushi night at my house where I'll keep answering your questions? And from that came the idea of, everybody who wanted went there, and they had another lecture with him, essentially where he answered questions. They ate sushi. Community invited them, so we had some barbecues, we had some activities. We tried to have them meet some community leaders to discuss, and Jewish American Council and local shuls, and just to give them also the context outside of the university. But essentially, this was a research program that the core was the research and the lectures.
And this is for 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks.
5 weeks, I think.
5 weeks program. Okay, from all different universities. So you said the first cohort also included soldiers that just finished their army service, right? Not soldiers anymore, but like citizens after the army service. But second and third cohort, only students from all universities?
So again, the first cohort was made with, I think, 40% students, most of them first years, and then 60% recent veterans that we were bringing along. We tried to have them all being focused on I want to study something soon, because essentially this is an academic program. There is the added value of, you go for the summer to the University of Pennsylvania and there is a lot around it, but essentially the core is academic and research. And this is the way we thought about building the bridge. that was the first program. Looking at how people felt about it made us realize that the more we strengthen the academic basic, the easier it will be for the fellows to connect and to spend the summer in the labs. And also, we had partner universities in Israel who were very happy to partner with us and help us, especially seeing what the program was after the first cohort and how the students benefited from that. And so the preceding cohorts were done in a close partnership with the universities in Israel, so close that they were doing the first part of the application in-house. Each university decided who they nominate. Some universities designated it for one faculty, some were opening it for everyone, and then did their own internal process. We then got the list of people from each university. We then interviewed them. And if we thought that person qualifies and we were able to recognize a lab at Penn with a mentor that will be a good fit, then those people will continue on to the program. And you can see how the preceding cohorts were more academic focused, and I think that was a natural development that also led to like closer collaborations. We've heard about some offers already for people to return to the same lab once they graduate in Israel. Some people who are still working with the labs, and the feedbacks from the professors as well is that, you know, the academic focus grows.
Yeah. So it's good. Like a good segue here is like who's sponsoring it. So is it Penn sponsoring it? Is the professor themselves sponsor this program? Who is bringing those students here?
Essentially, the answer is complicated. There is a big source of funding done by donors who prefer to stay anonymous, but I can say that most of them were also donating to Penn. They felt like this is a good way to do something important within something that they already recognized as important for them. Some of the mentors, the professors, donated themselves. I will say, you know, time is money. Each mentor, each person who was involved in the program essentially donated a big sum of time, which you can look as, to me, it's a donation. The community, by hosting the fellows, by organizing barbecues, it was all done by them. And then we had Penn, who provided it changed between cohorts, but essentially we worked with Penn Global as well during the first cohort, and I think this one too, the third one. So they were all enrolled into Penn as summer students at Penn, which required a tremendous amount of collaboration. They were living in Penn housing. They were staying on campus. So that, and then also the universities in Israel, which now are partners to this program. And it will be interesting to see where this grows to. But yeah.
So you also spoke before, you told me before that the research that you were leading was about antisemitism in campuses. And we also talked before about Penn, just in the beginning of... right after October 7th, there was a very big hearing, you know, and we heard the dean of Penn saying stuff that afterwards were not really. It looked like it was. She wasn't that supportive of. I would not say not supportive, but I would say that.
Ignorant, I would say.
About about anti-Semitism on campus. And I wonder, because Penn supporting this kind of program is really taking a stand in a way. Have you felt it?
Like anything, I guess, you know, and I hope this will not put the next cohorts in trouble. I think they were very careful to make sure there is no stand there. Nothing in the formal stuff around the program was designating it as something that can be perceived as political. This is an academic program. we had, so when you post it in Israel, each student can qualify, whether they are Jewish or Muslim or Druze. We had some Druze fellows, which I think were very interesting to meet and interact with, to the local communities, because, you think about Israel, you immediately think about your peer Jews there, but other communities in Israel were affected as well. To your question, Penn supported us as an academic program. They provided us with the support. I think to allow us to do more, we also worked with Hillel, with Chabad, but the extent to which we were able to pivot from academic, we couldn't do with Penn. So like Penn had some limitations on that, which are understandable, unfortunately, in the world we live in. But it is what it is.
Okay, I get your point. I wonder if if there are other programs like that in different universities.
When we started, the hope was that more universities will adopt the concept and run with it. We had some conversations with Columbia, which we felt will benefit a lot from something like that, given everything that happened there, with Harvard. I think essentially the core part of this program is someone from the faculty that will run with it. The amount of time spent by the leadership of this program to make it happen is tremendous. And it didn't end up happening,
Really?
unfortunately. Yeah. To my knowledge, this is the only program. I would be very happy to see that happens in other universities. I think, I know, so for the third cohort that was just concluded, we had more than 1,000 applications from Israel.
Wow.
From which they took around 40 people, I think a bit less. People want to come here. People recognize the effect and the benefit of doing so. And I can say firsthand that I've heard from many people involved on the Penn side, faculty, mentors, that they felt that this is a very good thing for them. So I think it will be a great benefit to extend the program or this idea beyond just Penn. Right now, it's just there, but hopefully we'll see a change there too.
Yeah, maybe people that listen to us now and maybe involved in with other universities, maybe you'll give them an idea now to start another program. And then that brings me into what was the reviews on the program. You just mentioned that people from Penn said it was very good for them as well. Can you elaborate more?
Yeah. Each review is different. I touched a bit about what the fellows shared. I know that the Jewish community was thrilled to meet those people. The meetings that these facilitates, for example, we had someone who shared his personal October the 7th story during a meeting with West Point officers as part of the lab he was working with. And that was very meaningful. So, the meetings of the different communities with the program were very important, I think. Again, this is an academic program. I think talking with the mentors, they felt like they not only get a return on their investment, but also are meeting bright young people with tremendous potential, whom they were very happy to work with. Obviously this is different, right? Like I talk about the success, that there were some labs where they felt, there was not a good match. The person was not very much interested. This is not someone I hired to work for me. So like it was easier for me to let them be more free and, find different ways to spend time. But the success stories are professors who talked with students about potentially returning the next summer, potentially becoming a PhD in their labs or like someone else's lab, but because they saw the potential, they saw the work, they felt like those people have the ability to get here and work here and succeed. And I think that the fact that most of the mentors came back the year after is a testament to the fact that they really, really enjoy having the fellows and thought that spending the time to train them and work with them is better. As a program, we also, I think, analyzing what was good, what was less working, allowed us to suggest how they will better manage their fellows and how they will better manage the labs. And I think that was working. So over the time, you see, I've heard about continued success.
And we also talked on the way here that, especially after October 7th, but I think until today, there are many people that want to do something, want to help, not necessarily know how. You don't necessarily can afford like to maybe donate to UJA and all like the big organizations. And sometimes this is something that you really feel that you're helping. Like this is something that you can do.
Yeah. I think this is a great example of that, right? We had a group of people who felt the need to do something and didn't know how to do it. And so they, as a group of peers, decided to go to Israel. From that trip, they had a vision of, let's create something that will help our Israeli peers. But the way to do it involves, the students of our peers. We had an idea for a program and volunteers to mentor before we had exactly known what the program will look like and what our declared goals are. But as we walked that path, knowing that we want to do something, that came to life. I think that also shows that giving is not just about money. I know as an Israeli, right, that sometimes having the empathy from someone and the conversation with someone, knowing that I'm not alone, or knowing that I have support here, or knowing how much the Jewish community here also felt October the 7th, or how you told me on the way here, October the 8th, was eye-opening to me as someone who was here when it happened, but I think it was also eye-opening to the fellows. And I think, again, Breach has two sides. I think essentially with them going back to Israel, telling about the meetings they had here, telling about what they've heard from the community here, telling about how much care they met about them, and potentially wanting to come back here and continue to work with their mentors is a circle that hopefully we can close, and I think it will be very, very good, and it's a form of giving for sure.
I agree. And also, as you mentioned before, the professor, the academics in Israel realized that there was kind of a silent boycott, and if you can give an opportunity, so you may not be able to have some Israeli professor article on the right paper, but at least you can give them the opportunity or the chance to work with leading professors around the world, and by that really enrich their experience, their professionality, and everything.
So I think on that, the way I saw it, and I understood it from the professors at Penn that I worked with, it's not either or. If they can do their annual conference on the topic they research in Israel, they will probably do it. There are challenges to it, but if they can, they would. When they can collaborate with Israeli professors, they are more than happy to do it. Some of them always were happy to do it. I think now even more, they recognize that this partnership can be not only beneficial, but also has the importance beyond that. I think, also being involved in such a program also risk them for being called, Zionists or other words that you and I don't have issue with, but some people around us do. But they are happy to do it. So I think they keep doing it. The way I saw it is this is another layer. This is another layer that recognizes that we can sow the seeds that hopefully one day will grow into people who will come here, will work here, will bring more of the connection, will expand that bridge. And it happens as we speak. I hope to see first PhD soon, coming from, being one of the first fellows to like the first fellow who becomes a PhD student at Penn or any other university here. But hopefully you can tell me, I'm here now because back in the day I was in this program and it made me think I can do that. Not only that, the professor who mentored me and showed me how to do it was also helping me, connecting me, writing me letters of recommendation, pushing me forward. To me, that will be a dream come true. And I think we are getting there. I'm pretty confident in a few years we'll have that story.
So from what I hear from you, this program is not like a 3-year thing. They're thinking about the long run, doing it annually.
Yeah, so the person who took my spot and replaced me, I had to leave. And so a good friend of mine took the lead of the program. I was told by him that not only that happens, that we are hoping that it will even grow. We'll have more mentors. We'll be able to bring more fellows. We'll be able to build a 5-year program, not just this is the first cohort, this is the second one. Plan strategically. Hopefully, we'll see other universities that decides to do the same. And the Bridge Fellowship will not just be the University of Pennsylvania. It will be something that started there and expanded.
Is there a way to donate to this program, or if someone wants to be involved, how do you do it?
I would reach out to Professor Michael Kahana from the University of Pennsylvania, or me. I'm happy to connect. I think Mike was one of the leaders who started the program. I was working very closely with him. I know that he dreams of the program expanding to other universities as well, and will be happy to speak with potential professors who want to do that in their own university, or donors who would want to donate. I'm happy to make the connection. I think anything will help this program, and I hope that we will see the fruits of that very soon.
I love that, and I feel that the main I would say the main sentence or the main idea that I'm taking from this from our conversation is just do. Like you feel that you need to do something, start with doing. This is what this group of fellow professors did. They just started going to Israel, then just started a program without knowing exactly what would be the goals. It was as the program developed, they understood it, and to your point of making the connection, if someone listened to us right now and he thinks it's something that he can or he would want to be involved in, maybe bringing it to her university. Just do the email, write the email and start from there.
I think, for them, it's like research. You have a general direction, general idea, but there are so many steps in the way. If you don't do it because you don't know what the answer will be 3 steps down the road, you'll not get there. So if you're a professor, just start researching. No, I'm kidding.
Very good insight. Okay, so thank you so much, Neta, for this very interesting conversation. And thank you for the time. And for coming here to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Israeli Bond on HMTV. Again, I appreciate my guest, Neta Dagan, for sharing some insight of the program, the ABF program in Penn University. And until next time, take care and be well.
If you enjoyed exploring the information, history, and stories in today's conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here on HMTV. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations.
Humanity Matters.